Hey everyone, Kevin here, and welcome back to my channel. So, interview processes can take on so many different forms these days that it can be hard to keep them all straight. The number of interviews, who might be involved, the questions they ask, forms to be filled out, etc. It can be a little daunting at times. The one thing that I wanted to call your attention to, though, that's become a bit of a trend lately are interview assignments, something that should never have become a thing in the first place. Now, I am not referring to instructional design projects that many companies have applicants do, something I made a video on a very long time ago, and which are also becoming really sketchy with companies conducting intellectual theft by stealing those projects. Rather, what I'm talking about here are companies almost giving you homework to do before you even interview with them. To give you an example, Walmart requires you to complete a 100 question survey where you have to answer questions like, are unions a good thing, and so forth. There are literally dozens of Reddit threads and YouTube videos about this, by the way. Amazon has you do a problem solving exam that I've done a couple times myself, actually, which also made no sense. The questions were so subjective and poorly worded that half the time I didn't even know what was expected of me, much less what the correct answer was, assuming there even was one. Other jobs have you do personality tests, like Myers-Briggs, which I'm sorry, have no place in an interview process because they aren't scientifically sound. Or they have you fill out questionnaires that would have been answered by our resumes. Indeed even has an entire article talking about the do's and don'ts when it comes to job interview assignments, or JIAs, which was actually just updated 4 days before I recorded this episode. That's how prevalent it's become recently. They go through this long winded explanation of how you should do these assignments and give you criteria to determine the ROI of each one to see if you should spend the time doing them. Which is rich, by the way, when they say that the average one should only take you a few hours to complete. No, they shouldn't. These assignments should have no bearing on anyone's candidacy, and telling people that they should waste hours and hours of their time filling these things out is ridiculous. Why would anyone want to do 3 hours of work for free for a job they know they probably won't get anyway because of how bad the job market is? I mean, people are desperate, yes, but most aren't ignorant of how little sense this makes and won't take the time to do them. When I was applying for jobs over the course of 8 months, I ran into a lot of these assessments, and I flat out refused to do them. If I saw one, I immediately closed out the application, and it happened way more times than you'd think. And I know someone out there will inevitably say, well, if you really want a job, then just do what you have to do or take something you don't like in the meantime. Look, just stop with that mentality, please. Yes, you might need to take a job that isn't perfect to pay bills, but not one that clearly doesn't respect your time. I point to the infamous example of this when an executive brought 6 people in for an interview at 7 a.m. in the morning and kept them waiting until 6 p.m. By that time, only 2 of the original 6 were left, and both of them got the job. The hiring manager called it an interview assessment of patience. Oh, please, no, it wasn't. What it was a test to see who you can control and who doesn't respect their own time. You know how long a job application process should take? No more than 10 minutes. And that's only if the application program the company uses doesn't do a good job at parsing your resume. You know how long an interview should take? No more than an hour, unless you're having a fantastic conversation with the interviewers and are asking questions of your own at the end that cause you to go over that time. I personally have termed this interview bloat. It's my own term. This market we're in is already one of the worst in the last 50 years. Companies are afraid of hiring the wrong person to the point that they add in all these artificial steps to weed out people before ever having to look at resumes. And it's burdening applicants who are already exhausted with even more unnecessary work. I mean, anyone who thinks I'm going to spend 3 or more hours doing these assessments while already applying to hundreds upon hundreds of jobs is a bit delusional. People suffering through this market don't need more hoops to jump through. They need less. When you're 350 applications in, you need simplicity and personality, not more mindless surveys and AI programs that serve to limit your candidacy before the very first interview. Watch out for these JIAs because you and everyone else deserve better than them. Respect yourself and your time and just don't do them. But that's all for today. Thanks for listening, and please don't forget to click like and subscribe to see more of my content. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.